Alright, yes guys, welcome back to another video. Yet again, we've hit another trade. So this morning, however, we did take a loss. We took a -1R loss inside the London macro. So we did take that, which put us down to 10.5R on the month. And then with this trade you're about to see, it would have put us up to 11.84. So this was a 1.34R trade, which was amazing. So I'm going to run through the thought process behind the whole trade. But just to go over this month has actually been my one of, if not the biggest month I've ever had. And, you know, it's really comes to show that you're never at a point where you know too much. You know, like, there's always room for improvement. You got to find ways. Even the guys at the top, they're always finding ways to improve their model, putting in more and more work, even though you'd think that maybe they should just be chilling on the beach for the rest of the weeks and months to come. But no, there's always room for improvement. So going into this trade, we had a sweep of minor buy side liquidity at the top there. You can see then with that high that was just under that point of minor buy side on NQ, that is where we had a bearish SMT. And so it was ES that actually swept buy side. So that was one, you know, confluence. And SMT isn't exactly you know, detrimental in terms of confluences, but it definitely helps. So with that sweep of buy side, we're going to shift lower through the most recent short-term low on NQ and ES, left behind the fair value gap, which inverts a bullish order block, which is also on ES, and we also have an inverse one on NQ2. So as soon as we tap the gap, we were in, and we are running around a 74-point stop. So I use around 2 minis, risking $1,000 per trade on this live account. So I had to drop down to around 7 micros to calculate the same amount of position sizing, going for a 1 to 2 flat RR trade. So at the first short-term low, you can see we trailed stops to the most recent short-term high, and that's exactly where you can now see the majority of the position has been taken off. And I actually started filming when it got to that point. I didn't even start filming when I actually took the entry, I forgot. So we got stops trailed just above the high. Literally, you know, it's the majority of the risk is gone. And then you can see here, right? So price has come up and nearly taken us out. So if we were at break even at this point, that's what would have happened. We would have been taken out. However, the reason why I didn't go break even is because, you know, that point where it says 0.5, that is where I'd look to actually go break even there. So I didn't see any point of actually, you know, there was no point to trail my stop. There was no point to even, you know, go break even. So I left my risk open and I kept it at those protected highs, just in case, you know, you can see price has taken out 1, 2 previous short-term highs, and it would be very unlikely for it to go for the third. So that's why I was very happy with my stop loss being just above that point, and it's also just above that fair value gap where the entry point is. So that's, you know, it's very much well protected, and there's a bearish order block, So then from this point, because of how hesitant price was to accelerate lower, and if we were to respect these confluences, which we currently are, that's where I'll then look to go break even. I wouldn't want to see price return after this point, especially if we inverse this bullish order block. And then you can see how I've trailed stops to the most previous high. So that is where, you know, I was like, okay, I'm happy to now trail this even further, and that would then make this completely break even. So this is basically a break even trade with very little, very little risk on the table. As soon as we take that out, there we go, risk free on this trade now. So that is literally it. That is literally it. Your job as a trader is just manage risk. Just to manage risk and see how to actually manage the trade the best way possible. And this is the best way I found fit. I was very happy with, you know, leaving stops at those points. And if you get stopped out, guys, you know, it's like, what's the point of trading stops into a tiny profit? Obviously, for me, if it makes logical sense, then fair enough. But you know, for me, I found it the most logical approach was to keep it at that high, and then if price was to retrace and then it went all the way to that third high, all right, fair enough, I was wrong. But more times than not, you know, I'm just doing what I've seen before, and this is what I've seen before, and I wasn't surprised at all that price done exactly this. So what we'll now see coming soon is price will start to accelerate lower, and then I'm going to go through the reason why I actually closed out at final objective. Well, not final objective. So that point of sell side you can see marked out on NQ and ES, where I have that horizontal ray. I was looking at that point and I was just thinking in my head, should I close out as soon as price actually hits that point, or do I hold out for the 2R? Because what we can see currently right now is price actually building a lot of structure. So you can see here price then takes out the next short-term low, and I'll trade my stops to 2 previous short-term highs. So this way I'm actually securing quite a decent profit here, a decent RR. Nothing obviously major, but you know, it's something. It's definitely something. So anyway, back to the point. What we can see is price is actually building structure, and when it's doing stuff like this, where we're just consolidating and constantly taking out previous highs and lows, it's very highly probable that when we take out that point of sell side, that price will then actually start to reverse and make a setup for longs, which is actually what happens. And I said this in the Discord, on the live Discord, guys. Again, every execution you will see on YouTube that I've taken is live on the Discord, in front of the students. Any student that I have on the mentorship, I teach them one-to-one every week, and then they see me execute live on the group. It quite literally is the most transparent, like, you cannot fake results like this. You know, like, if you trade live, you cannot fake it, you know? Especially if people are you're literally putting money in people's pockets, like what other, you know, there's not a lot of people actually doing that, you know. They'll sell you a course, they won't actually tell you what to do. But anyway, fuck all that shit. We can see there I closed out and ES takes final objective, and this is what I'm talking about. So you could have held out, but what you actually see from this scenario, if you backtest price, is that it took that point of sell side, it went a little bit lower, but it didn't even actually go to my TP. It actually reversed and would have gone straight up to where my stop loss was, and then it came back down to my TP. So what I've seen before is when prices consolidated like this a bit at the start of your entry, and it's just building structure like that, sort of like an accumulation phase, is more times than not reversed, and it's something I'm just not, you know, it's not something I'd want to be in. But if it's just a straight, you know, acceleration lower, like if it was just, you know, 3-4 candles straight to that point of sell side, I would have held. I would have 100% held to that TP. But, you know, I'm just doing what logically makes sense, because after a while, you know, like when you've traded so much and you've shown up every single day, you've back tested hours and hours and forward tested for days on days, weeks, months, years, you know what you're looking at, and you know what is the highest probable outcome. And for me, I was, you know, expecting this to happen, and that's exactly what happened. So there you have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this month of January. It is a very, very good month. Good
Order
month.
filled.
So yeah, I'll catch you guys for February. Let's take it easy. And again, I don't really like to, you know, flush out promoting the mentorship too much. You know, I like for people to join at their own will. But if you do want to get inside, then either drop me a message on Instagram, link in the bio, or just buy it straight from the store. I'll likely be upping the prices for the one-to-ones, as the value is absolutely insane. So make sure you get inside before the prices go up.